I thought pre-retirement was going to be easy, but I overlooked this one key factor that was pivotal to my success in pre-retirement, and it almost derailed me. The massive mistake that I made was misjudging the job market. I thought with all of my experience and fantastic resume, I'd have no problem at all. Well, I was able to find jobs, but the salaries were so incredibly low that they weren't really livable. And I thought, what the heck am I going to do? I had planned for as much as a 50% drop in salary, but these salaries that I was encountering were about an 80% drop and almost not worth getting in the car and driving to work for. So I had to kind of regroup or reevaluate if I could even stay in the location that I had picked. I had done so much research, so much planning, but this one key element I kept overlooking and discounting, saying, well, surely once I get there and I post my resume, everything will just fall into place. Not true. It took quite a long time to find that first job. First and foremost, let's just call it what it is. There was a mismatch between my expectations and what a small town environment can offer in terms of job offerings. So I just did not really foresee that a lot of my skill set was not going to be applicable or valued in the way it was in the regions of the country where there's a lot of white collar work. Now, I didn't necessarily want the type of job I had before, but I did think that my skill sets would be much more transferable. And what I was finding was I was getting passed over a lot and I couldn't really figure out why. So I had to kind of regroup. So I took a lot of the high level detail out of my resume because it just didn't apply to the market I was applying to. And it would overwhelm people. It just didn't have any meaning, really. And so I really put in more tangible, transferable skill sets versus, metrics that I had achieved in my old role. And it did help quite a bit to sort of bridge that gap. And that segues into the next big miscalculation, which is that the salaries were extremely low. And I really just couldn't believe that that was the case, but it was the case. And almost every job was in that same salary range. And I'd even overheard conversations of neighbors and things like that saying that they just can't get beyond this certain wage cap. And they were frustrated working two jobs and really struggling. So I understand really at a deep level what that meant for them as young families trying to establish themselves and have goals. For me, it really came down to being able to make a reasonable living without a lot of stress and something enjoyable, something that I would enjoy doing. So I really had to restructure my resume so that the talents and skills that these type of companies were looking for were showcased. I also really think it's just a numbers game. I had to just change my search a little bit to find better positions, and B, I just had to send a lot of resumes out. In the end, I ended up working a 40-hour week to be able to bring in the income that I was hoping for. And in those early couple of years, that was perfectly fine. I did that for maybe 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. And then at some point, I started scaling back because that was my original goal. By that point in time, I was established in the community and was just able to get jobs more easily. So that leads me to point number 3. If you're new in a location and it's a really small place, you really need to network. You need to be able to make yourself known and make some friends, make some acquaintances. Ask them about positions that they might know about or jobs where members of their family work so that you can have some inroads, because in a small community, having that connection really does matter. For the jobs that I was particularly interested in, I decided to include a short PowerPoint presentation that showcased my interest, my qualifications, and what I would bring to the table for the role. And that definitely broke the ice. It got me in an interview and landed a job within a week or so. So lastly, if you're planning to transition out of a major career role into something part-time or even full-time, but in a slightly different niche, give yourself enough time to find the right fit. It really matters to get the right fit because you definitely don't want to be in a role where you're not enjoying it. and be sure to realize that your previous roles and experience might be overqualifying you for the positions that you're applying to now, and to modify your resume so that it fits more the marketplace that you're applying to. You will find something and it will be amazing and you'll have fun. It'll be a lot more lighthearted than your previous role, more than likely. And, it's just part and parcel of the downsizing and the right sizing that we do in retirement. So please share in the comments below some of the experiences you've had that have been eye-opening in your journey of finding part-time or even full-time work in this pre-retirement phase. Thanks for joining. Please like or subscribe down below, and we'll see you next time.